today's topic is very important. That is the management and complication of vaccination with homeopathy. Dr. Yahya, please welcome.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everybody from the neighboring countries, doctors and homeopathy lovers. So actually, today I am not well. With an excuse, I am starting my session. I am having sore throat, and this was a prefixed program, and moreover, the subject is very crucial, and it is high time to highlight the vaccination side effects and how we can manage the complications of vaccination. So I am forced to attend this session actually. So if there comes some interruption with my sore throat, my laryngitis, so excuse me. So I apologize initially. The subject is very crucial, and since 1.5 weeks we are discussing the same subject in the Malayalam session from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. and wholeheartedly I was the first one to speak in Malayalam also. So to the international community, from the doctors from abroad, also we had to highlight this session, and the importance should reach others also. That is why today we again took this session in the English version. So I recollect your attention to the initial days of COVID, when there was so many deaths reporting worldwide. So the overuse of drugs like ivermectin, remdesivir, hydroxychloroquine, plasma therapy, steroids, antibiotics, antipyretics were widely used during those days. And see, most of the casualties, most of the hospitals were fully packed with the patients. I should say not patients, with cadavers. That should I say. See how they managed those days. Initially, the whole world, the modern medicine community were in a panic state, and they tried to manage the case with so many drugs, and so many deaths were precipitated. And after 1.5 years, the eye was opened from the WHO.
Yes, as rightly mentioned by Dr. Yahya, in fact, it did create a lot of problems. And what is our intention is to give the patient some sort of relief and solace at this juncture, because every day we hear about a lot of deaths in young persons around 50s, sudden death. And what is the reason? Nobody knows. They pretend to know, they don't know. That's the most important. The pretension is the main methodology what they are doing. We all know that what was an untoward incident, or what is different from the previous years and now is only the vaccination. So naturally we can conclude that may be the reason. It's quite normal, natural that everyone can understand. So what homeopathy can do is to provide some relief to these patients. How it is possible? We all know that we always depends on the phenomenology of every disease, whether it is a drug disease or natural disease or some acute disease, whatever it may be, or even lifestyle diseases. Not depend upon the what caused the disease, but what is the manifestation of disease. That is why we can treat these untoward incidents also, not only with a single medicine, but as Dr. Yahya yesterday said, a couple of days back said, around 58 medicines are there. That means around 5 dozens of medicines in homeopathy. Then what is the specialty of this medicine? There is no secrets regarding the contents of the medicine. Only a drug part, then the sugar of milk or the alcohol. Nothing more than nothing. There is no adjuvants.
Sorry, there was a net issue.
Okay.
Okay. So, when we come to the vaccination, we are seeing so many deaths and so many complications after the vaccine, and nobody is interested to learn or do research in regard to this vaccination effects. So we people, the homeopaths is the only community which are highlighting this point, and the world have to arouse. We have to arouse the world to do some research in connection with the vaccination effects. So many countries are giving compensation after vaccination. Even before COVID, vaccination after effects. So we got so many websites to register in most of the countries, but in India there is no such format to do some registration after the vaccination. So anyway, we can save the community with homeopathy remedies that we are going to discuss. We all people are aware of so many medicines, so many medicines. So we'll come through those medicines on the way, and I should say a case before going to the proper drugs. So one of our colleague was a professor in the Homeo Medical College. She's no more actually after vaccination. One day, so I think 2 days after vaccination, she was unconscious and she was admitted in the nearby hospital. And from there, she was rushed to the medical college, and the doctors were unable to save her life because she took vaccination 1 week before that incident. And that was the first case from the homeopathy community reported in Kerala. And afterwards, one of the actor who is Vivek from Tamil Nadu, who was the brand ambassador of vaccination in Tamil Nadu from India, he also died the second day after taking the vaccination. Actually, he was the brand ambassador of this vaccination in that state. That also happened after vaccine. And one of our girl friend here from the dental medical college in Pushpagiri, she was supposed to take a vaccination because her dental surgeon advised to take vaccine before going for the dental procedures. So it was fixed, and she was forced to take a vaccine, and there is only one daughter for that parents, and she also died after 1 week after vaccination, and still a case is in the court along with that death. So many instances came after vaccination, and people are aware of the complications now. Still then, the whole modern medicine people are mum, and they are keeping silent in regard to this vaccine effects. Anyway, when patients come to the homeopathy community, we can give some medicine and we can save at least the life of those people. And I should recommend to read Clark's dictionary, Tuja. When we read the introduction part, Dr. Burnett, so this Clark is reporting the case of Burnett. He was telling a case regarding the vaccination effects, because in the introduction she was telling a case of a baby of 10 weeks. That baby, the babysitter was changed, and after attending that, a few days after attending that babysitter, this baby was in a collapsed state. So the parents were unaware of the why their child became collapsed, and they were in search of the conditions and the surroundings, the circumstances, but they were unable to identify what was the cause. The baby was in a healthy state. After appointing this babysitter, 2 days after those days, this baby became collapsed. And this lady was questioned, and they identified her forearm, the left forearm was having an inflammation, and why it happened. And she was telling she went for a vaccination before attending this house, and that there was a pustule in that area, and this baby of 10 weeks actually sucked those area, and that was the reason why this baby was sick. And immediately the physician were attended, and they gave Puja 6 for that case, and the baby was helped and saved. This case was reported by Burnett and mentioned in Clark Dictionary. So this was how we homeopaths can save the patients from death after the complications of vaccine. This is an eye opener in the history of homeopathy. And afterwards, these puja were widely used. But nowadays, in we go through the repertories, we will see more and more drugs. Around the 54 to 58 drugs were mentioned in synthesis repertory. 58 drugs were mentioned. So we will come across those drugs. Again, when we go through the science of essence of Materia Medica, the George Vidotas is mentioning a case. So if you people are aware of the essence, you read hydrophobinum. So in the hydrophobinum also there was a case is mentioned. A lady of chronic arthritis. She was so obese, and she was reporting in the hospital in her Rolls Royce car. She was immensely rich, and she was attending the Vidokas OP. And after 1.5 years, George Vidokas was unable to cure that case until he identified the after effects of vaccination. And she was telling whenever she see an open tap, she have to run to the urinal. So that was the striking symptom. And immediately, George Vidokas was asking whether you were bitten by a dog. She immediately replied, yes. So you were vaccinated. You took the anti-rabies vaccination. Yes. Yes, sir. I took anti-rabies vaccination after bitten by a dog. Immediately, he gave hydrophobinum to that case, and even after 1.5 years, after using around 10 drugs during those days, she were not cured. And after hydrophobinum single dose, her arthritis was completely cured. That is another case reported in the essence of Materia Medica. See how after effects of vaccination we can manage. So these two cases. After vaccine, there are 3 types of reaction we see. There is a mild reaction, and a strong reaction, and a very strong reaction. So we have to see the type of reaction after vaccination. In very strong reaction, so a deep illness is produced, and the defense mechanism is too weak to counteract the morbid stimulants in those cases. And if there is a mild reaction, this person is susceptible to that disease. So that is the indication actually. And Burnett, I think Burnett was mentioned this vaccinosis name. I am not sure whether Dr. Hanneman or Burnett coined this name, vaccinosis. Anyway, this is the term used for after effects of vaccination. And a case in my experience. Last time I narrated a case of a constipation after vaccination of a baby a child of around 4 years. She actually that child was both parents were doctors. One is an allopathy doctor, her mother, and father was a homeopath. And after they came to my clinic for severe constipation in that child. That mother was telling the husband, the homeopath, was giving so many medicines for 1.5 months for the constipation, and she was not saved. And they came to the clinic to give some other new medicine, to identify a new medicine for that child. Actually, I took the case, and that the mother was conscious of this vaccination and after effects of vaccination, and she was telling, so after vaccine, at the age of 4, some booster dose were given, and she developed a diarrhea, and they gave some medicine for this diarrhea, and afterwards this constipation precipitated. And without doubt, so in those days I was not aware of these 58 drugs. So in the initial days of practice, I know only 3 drugs for the vaccination effects. That is Tuja, Cyretia, Antitard, and I think sulfur also was in my mind. And that in that case, I gave Cyretia, and just after 2 days, they reported that that child was saved, and no more constipation persists. So this was from my personal experience. Anyway, we have to go through those drugs of choice in the synthesis repertory. So many drugs, around I already told you around 58 drugs were mentioned, and we will discuss some of the drugs. So you people are aware of the effects of Cyretia, Tuja, sulfur, and Antitard. More than that, we should prescribe so many other drugs as per the similarity. I think a vaccination after effects campaign should happen throughout the world, so that we can save most of the lives. Because blindly, if you give Cyretia or Tuja, at least you can save lives. That is my opinion. And if you go through the specific drugs, then it will be more effective. Before that, I should play in the YouTube. There is a video in which one of the audiologists reporting so many cases after the vaccination effects. So I will share this case. So to the community, see. So this is a video from an audiologist from California. Just to listen a few minutes of the initial part. One second.
Be there, there's way it's going to go away. And they said that they were on the internet 24/7 trying to find a solution. I worked with them. One of the initial questions I ask is, what is your hearing status? Do you have a hearing test I can review? The patient I completed an audiology program at University of the Pacific in San Francisco. I've lived in the Bay Area for about 5 years. I completed my audiology residency at UCSF, University of California, San Francisco Medical Center. And the reason I wanted to go there was to learn as much as I could about audiology and to be the best audiologist that I could. I was particularly interested in tinnitus because I myself have had tinnitus for 8 years. I have had a baseline about 2 out of 10 volume tinnitus for 8 years, and I appreciated how the work an audiologist does for tinnitus not only helps the ears with technology, but also is helping someone with their mental health, their physical health, their sleep, understanding anxiety and stress and those patterns, and how we are more than just our ears, and managing tinnitus is far more than just the ears. I remember when I was working at UCSF at the beginning of my residency, and we were working with a patient who had sound sensitivity. And at the time, I had extensive study, more textbooks knowledge of how tinnitus and hyperacusis treatment works for people, but it's hard to really believe it until you see it or hear it from someone face to face that their symptoms dramatically improved following tried and true methods, mainly tinnitus retraining therapy. And I remember specifically that this patient had sound sensitivity, and 3 months later, using ear level sound generators, having appropriate counseling and education, and also working on their holistic health with sleep, stress, etc., that their symptoms were nearly gone. And a moment like that, you don't forget. Those are the moments that keep me so engaged in the tinnitus community and keep me so alive helping people, because I'm with people a lot. I work completely via telehealth, and I created a company called Pure Tinnitus. I also have a large YouTube channel where I've made high quality videos for over a year now. And I love what I do, and I'm reminded of the effect it has on people's life when people who consult with me remind me and tell me that I made their lives better because of these videos that are for free on YouTube. And then, of course, working with people one-on-one has a better effect. And again, I'm just sharing this because the work that we do is to help people's lives to improve stress, anxiety, fear, insomnia related to tinnitus, and in effect, most often, the level of tinnitus reduces to. In this presentation, I want to share 3 case studies of patients I have worked with individually using tinnitus retraining therapy. And actually, this is one of the most exciting presentations I've ever done, because quite honestly, at this point in my career, starting Pure Tinnitus, a completely telehealth model, focusing not only on the ears, not only on sound therapy, but the other factors that are known to influence tinnitus. I've now worked with people for 6 months or longer, so I have real longitudinal case studies where I've seen them from the point of highest suffering, anxiety, stress, insomnia, those real pains and challenges, into where they are now. And that's what I wanted to share. So I'll take it away and start with the first case. We have 3 case studies, all right? So case study number 1, and I'm hoping you can relate to some of these case studies, to some of these real people and real cases. It's a caveat to mention here is that every person's tinnitus history is different. It's very rare to have completely the same history, the same mental state, the same mental health, the same sleep patterns, the same stressors, the same lifestyle, the same background as another person. But when you're alone trying to manage tinnitus, it's very helpful to hear other people's success stories so you can take those messages and relate it back to yours, with the caveat that these individuals are not exactly mirroring where you are at. But I'm hoping you can find the pieces of knowledge here and take them for you. Okay, case study number 1. This is a 55-year-old female, and she is a working adult. On a Saturday, in March 2021, on a Saturday in March 2021, she got the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, and she got a fever that weekend. On Tuesday, she developed tinnitus. So the beginning of April, she developed tinnitus, and mainly in one ear, all right? What did they do? They got a hearing test. Their hearing test was within the normal range. So tinnitus, sudden onset tinnitus related to the COVID vaccine, and they had a hearing test within the normal range. I worked with them. I asked them, why is tinnitus a problem for you? That's often a very telling question. It shows a lot about where the therapies and treatments will go. Why was tinnitus a problem for you? I asked. And they said, my sleep is horrible. In the past month, the only way I'm able to fall asleep is by using earbuds. by using earbuds to provide some sound therapy to help me sleep. That's the only way that they could sleep. They had insomnia. They went to their primary doctor and they were prescribed Xanax to help regulate their sleeping patterns. So that's a benzodiazepine, a very hard drug, quite honestly, a pharmaceutical drug.
See, so I am just stopping that video because you will get in the YouTube. You have to hear and listen those incomplete because since there is a time limit for us. Because I am just telling why I want to present this case. This was actually forwarded by one of my patients who was having this Meniere's disease, tinnitus. And he consulted most of the audiologists and the ENT specialists in the capital of Kerala, in Trivandrum. And he consulted a very, very famous ENT specialist in the capital city. And they were not able to manage his tinnitus even after 1 year. And accidentally, he came to my clinic and I just told him, are you vaccinated? Yes, I was vaccinated, and not only 1 dose, I took 3 doses. Okay, well and good. So that, and I told him, yes, this may be one of the reason for this tinnitus. And he was adamantly against my statement because he was one of the manager in a company in the Technopark IBS, and actually he resigned that job due to this tinnitus. He was unable to attend the computer, the system after this complaint, so he resigned even. And he was adamantly against my statement, and he was telling us. So I consulted 2-3 ENT specialists in this in the state, and they were not telling such a statement. And why you are telling like that? Okay, so I told him I can cure you, but from my point of view, this can be the reason. And 2 days after this statement, he forwarded this YouTube video to me, and he was telling, yes, doctor, one person from California was doing research in this regard, and so 3 cases were reported after tinnitus after vaccination, and now I am sure this is the reason in my case also, and you saved my life. Thank you, doctor. He was just telling. So, and he was saved with Theridion and followed with Silesia. That person was saved completely, and you have to go through this video actually what has happened at last. And very interestingly, I commented in this YouTube video about the efficacy of homeopathy in the chat box. And the second day or third day, I was just searching whether my comment was there, and this person, this audiologist, just removed those homeopathic statements from that chat box. So that is another incident happened along with this video. Anyway, so we have to study the drugs, the possible drugs after vaccination. First of all, people are aware of melandrinum. Melandrinum actually, we often give this vaccinum and melandrinum for smallpox and chickenpox. So whenever there is a skin complications after vaccination, this melandrinum is mostly indicated. So you should think of melandrinum whenever there is skin complications. Then meserium. Meserium, out of this 58 drugs, this meserium also mentioned, that is in 3 mark. This melandrinum in 3 mark, meserium in 3 mark. If we people are aware of the complications of meserium in nerves. So whenever there is a nerve complications, you have to think of this meserium. Then sarsaparilla is another drug. Whenever there is a renal pathology after this vaccine effects, you have to think of sarsaparilla. Silesia, already you people are aware. In general, you can use this Silesia. I already mentioned I prescribe for constipation. So if there is abscess after this vaccination, you can prescribe Cynesia. If there is nerve complications after vaccination, you can prescribe Cynesia. Like with in general, you can go through those drugs like Tuja and Cynesia. Sulfur, again, if there is dermatological problems, if there is diabetes after this vaccine effects, you have to think of this sulfur. Then vaccininum in Trimark, again, nerve complications, and if there is paralysis after vaccination, you have to think of vaccininum. Aconite is actually 2 mark. If there is some mental pathology, anxiety, tension, fear, we all aware of the emotional and the mental problems of aconite. So if there is such a state precipitate after vaccination, you just think of aconite. Anti-tax. So if there is some respiratory complications, some bronchitis or asthma, after vaccine, you have to think of this antimonium tataricum. So if there is pneumonia or if there is bronchitis, if there is asthma, so initially you have to think of antitat and followed with Cynesia or Tuja. You can save those patients. Then APIS. So APIS we all know after stings we prescribe APIS. Similarly after vaccine effects, if they develop some urticaria or some edema. So you are aware of the APIS pathology. So APIS also is mentioned in 2 mark. Likewise, arsenic album, belladonna. If the suppressing fever or a palliating fever, you can give belladonna after this vaccine. Then Calimor also mentioned. Mostly we prescribe Calimor in dermatological problems. So in such situations, if there is some dermatological problems, skin problems after vaccine effects, you have to think of Calimor. Mersol, then Sorinum. Sorinum also like sulfur. If there is some dermatological problem, you have to think of Sorinum. Variolina again, eruptions and paralysis. If there is some paralysis or nerve injuries after vaccination, you have to think of Variolina. Buforana, carcinosin, very effective medicine for like tuberculinum. Carcinosin also blindly you can prescribe like Tuja and Cynesia. Carcinosin nowadays, carcinosin is mostly indicated in most of the cases. So this carcinosin also you have to think. Then Crotalus horridus. So this cardiac problems or bleeding disorders happen. So in brain accidents, so this so cardiovascular accidents and in bleeding after vaccination, some thrombus or thrombosis happens. You have to think of Crotalus horridus. So that is actually 1 mark. But nowadays, I think this drug is of choice because most of the people precipitate this stroke and heart attack, myocardial infarction after this vaccine. So nowadays, this Crotalus is mostly indicated along with other drugs like Bothrox, then Calcaria Ars, Crotalus, this Naja, Lacasis, Arnica. So if there is some bleeding disorders after vaccination, you can give the indicator remedy like Bothrox, Calcaria Ars, Crotalus. Afterwards, you prescribe this Cynesia or Tuja after initial prescription of those drugs. Then echinacea. Echinacea is also mentioned. So some of the doctors was commenting this echinacea is a very effective drainage drug if you use in low potency or it injures that will drain out the poisonous effects of this vaccine. So we all are aware so many preservatives were added in the vaccine and those preservative effects will affect the kidney, liver and the brain. So if you give echinacea tincture along with the indicator remedy, you can drain those poisons. So that also you have to think. Then graphitis, heparsul, kali, chloratum, phosphorus. Even Rustox is mentioned along in this 58 Rustox is also mentioned. Sepia is another important drug. We all people are aware that Sepia is prescribed along with the Nexomicare for after effects of allopathic drugs in the repertoire it is mentioned after effects of overuse of drugs, sepia is indicated. So mostly in dermatological problems, if there is some skin complaints after allopathic drug, even after vaccine, sepia you can prescribe. Then tuberculinum. Tuberculinum is of the drug of choice, actually, like carcinosin. You can think of this tuberculinum also. In this regard, I have to mention a person, the tennis player Novak Djokovic, because actually he's the brand ambassador of homeopathy, because we people are against this COVID vaccine, and this person even refused to attend the US Open, and he lost so many crores in that tournament, and he was fully against the COVID vaccine, and so actually we have to give a big applause to that Novak Djokovic in this situation.
Some more medicines I like to add. See, about it. See, one cortisone is a very wonderful remedy. That is very important, you said. See, another, see, diarrhea after vaccination, one of two medicines usually I am using. That is, one is Silesia and other is Tuja. See, in asthma cases after vaccination, I am using Antidote, Ars and Tuja. These are all the main medicines. A lot of other medicines, but these are the main medicines. See, suppose eruptions are coming after vaccination. Usually I am giving sulfur 0/3. It is having wonderful work. Daily 1 dose of sulfur 0/3, put in a 3 spoonful of water and give 1 spoon at a day, in a day. And next day, another packet is taken and it is mixed with the 3 spoonful of water, giving 1 spoon that child. That way I am administering it. It shows wonderful. There is sleeplessness. Certain patients have sleeplessness. Carcinosin is the wonderful.
Yes.
Carcinosin is the wonderful remedy. See, certain patients have anxiety after vaccination. That and for Tuja, for that also Tuja is the wonderful medicine. Certain patients, certain people have eczema after vaccination. That we can think about sulfur as well as Restox. We can think about it. That's right. Certain people have headache after vaccination. That is carcinosin and Tuja. We can give. These are a lot of other medicines are here, but I am saying only 1 or 2 medicine which I have the experience. I am saying that. Then suppose a disease person is going for vaccination and the symptoms are the symptoms of that disease is aggravating after taking vaccination. See, carcinosin, Silesia and Tuja. These 3 medicines are according to the symptoms you can give. See, certain patients have backache after vaccine. There is only 1 medicine, that is Silesia.